Hi, everybody. Mike here. Welcome to Mastery Connect Summer 2018. This is an orientation to the course. I really hope you take a look at this because we've got some new information that we gathered with our face-to-face training this week that I want to make sure everybody is aware of and understands the implications of as you think about how you're going to spend your time this summer. So, um, there's some important things that we want you to know before you begin your work, and let's take it away. The first thing, and this is huge, is that we have changed the assessment levels in Mastery Connect. In the past, it was Mastery, Near Mastery, and Remediation. Now the new levels are Exceeds Mastery, Meets Mastery, Partially Meets, and Does Not Meet Mastery. This aligns with our existing state standards. It aligns with our elementary report card, and it's going to allow us to move forward so that if you are doing your assessments in Mastery Connect, it will automatically feed that report card and potentially a standards-based assessment report card type thing at the high school or secondary level that would allow us to do that type of thing. So this was a big change. Now there's some implications with that change. Here's the rationale again, but the implications are as follows. One, it does require that any assessment that we've used in the past be cloned and then updated to reflect the exceeds level. It may mean that you add a true false question that nobody gets right so that for standards such as letters of the alphabet, it's impossible that they get beyond 26, for example. So we'll have to do some tricking of the system, and we're working with Mastery Connect to fix things so that they allow us to have a score that's unattainable for that scenario. Second thing, it's going to require recreating our curriculum map to include this level. So we've been going through and updating our custom standards within Mastery Connect so that you'll be able to access these. And then as we build our curriculum maps out, we're doing some recreation. And in the next slide, I'll be talking about some of the changes and why we're making those with those maps as well. The good news is that the data that students have been assessed on in the past will still be in the system for old assessments. So those standards, you'll be able to see where their mastery level is. The other big thing that I mentioned is that our standards and our benchmarks, rather than having all of our benchmarks underneath a standard, we've moved everything to the same level. And the reason for that is that within Mastery Connect, we want to be able to do our assessments, our common summative assessments at the standard level. And those standards weren't necessarily in the list of benchmarks, but now we've added them and those are all at the .0 level. So as you look at a standard, for example, this one from world language, it's 2.1.0. And then all the benchmarks are underneath that, and then it goes to 2.2.0. But now we can assess at that 0.0 level for our common summative assessments. If you want to assess a benchmark at that level as just a formative assessment for yourself to see where kids are on those benchmarks, you can do that, but it won't affect the overall common summative. It's a way to kind of differentiate between those. The other big thing is all of our common summatives need to be district formative assessments in Mastery Connect, but only assessed at that 0 level. The district in Mastery Connect, there's something called district benchmarks, but when you create an assessment, you'll always want to do as a formative, and then one of the TOSAs or Mastery Connect administrators will be able to make that a district benchmark. So the curriculum map is really our blueprint for how we're going to be going through. It contains our units and the standards within that unit, and then the assessments that are going to be used with that unit. Changes made to the curriculum map can be synced by teachers going to the map and selecting sync all trackers. That's a nice thing so that if someone makes a curriculum map and people make trackers from that, then when changes get made, such as new standards get added, new assessments get added, new notes or resources, those will automatically sync to the existing trackers that are there. However, changes to the order of the standards, changes to the order of units, standards or substandards that have been removed, those will not sync with those trackers. You'd have to create a new tracker in that instance. But it's really important for you as we move forward that the trackers that you create come from the curriculum maps that are being pushed out, so that then the things that need to sync will sync. So the question is, for this summer, what will you work on? Some of you may have signed up thinking you're going to work on curriculum maps. Some have thought, well, I'm going to be building some assessments in Mastery Connect. So you need to kind of decide how you're going to spend your 4 hours of time that you're going to get paid for. If you're going to be creating curriculum maps, you're going to want to begin by creating a curriculum team. You're going to want to add me to the team, curriculum TOSA. For example, if you're a world language teacher, you'd add ISA to that. And then your job alikes who are going to be collaborating on that map. For math, Mark Carlson's going to be creating all the math maps with grade level curriculum writers. So you might want to pick a different subject rather than math for that. The naming convention on the maps, it's going to be Edina grade level and then subject map. So for example, Edina fourth grade math map is what Mark would do. As you're building your maps, you're going to be adding units and putting the standards into those units. When you add units, there's some color conventions, and what we're suggesting is that when you click on color to choose the color of the unit, we're going to skip white. The first unit would be light blue, the second green, the third orange, the fourth red, and then purple, dark blue, etc. You may want to reserve black for standards that are there but not yet assessed or not placed in a unit yet. But that's kind of the order of the colors as you go when you're building those curriculum maps. If you're going to create assessments, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to create a formative assessment instead of district benchmark when you're adding assessments. You want to assess at the 0 level of those actual standards for the ones that are going to become common summatives. Rubric criteria works really well, especially when using our performance grader to do the assessing. If you want to add exceeds to an existing assessment, consider adding that true-false question so that on a 10-point assessment, an 11 is exceeds. And then you can create assessments as teachers, but you can't make them district formatives. You'd have to send the address of the assessment to either myself or one of the curriculum TOSAs, and then they will clone it and save it as a district formative to move forward. So you can be building these district common assessments, but ultimately the TOSA will have to make that final step to make it a district summative and add that to your map. If you're going to create curriculum maps, the standards set, all main standards end in 0.0, all benchmarks listed below at the same level. Your summative assessments are at the standard level. You want to know who's the person who's maintaining and overseeing those maps, either the TOSA or the curriculum writing lead. You'll want to think about the timeline for completion. It really needs to be prior to the start of school, and then any new things that get written during the school year will roll into 2019-2020. So what will you work on? What I ask you to do is to complete the Your Goals assignment to begin your journey. I apologize for how long this video is, but I wanted to make sure that you understood the implications of which thing you're going to work on before you get started. So I look forward to seeing what you come up with for your goals, and once you have those, I will be prescribing some specific things within Mastery Connect to help you learn what you need to move forward and answer any questions that you have as you go through your 4 hours of work. Thanks and have a great day.